Hi everyone, I hope all are doing good. Today I'm going to talk about a topic called failures in FPD, in which I'll be explaining various types of failures which can occur during or after FPD preparation. Before going for the topic, I want to tell you a few things regarding the need for learning about failures. Why you need to learn about failures when there are so many success stories in front of you. When you read a success story, it will give you the way how they succeeded in that and the story ends. It will not give you much lessons for your success. But at the same time, when you read a failure story, they will explain how they met with a failure, how they tried to overcome that failure, and how they succeeded in that situation, which will give you more information for your success. So please stay tuned to know more about failures in FPD and to become success in your profession. So let's go for the classification. Even failures have their classification. It is been classified into four. First one is biologic, then mechanical, then aesthetic and psychogenic. I'll go for the biologic failures, the reasons which occurs in biologic failures. The first one is caries. I hope all of you are familiar with the term caries. There are several types of caries which you are already familiar with. Here I am going to talk about secondary caries which can happen by the lack of marginal adaptation. That means when you cement a prosthesis on a particular abutment, you are supposed to give a finish line. Finish line is the area where your restoration has to be seated or contacted tightly. So if there is a lack of contact on the finish area, there will be there will not be any marginal adaptation, which can lead to marginal leakage, in which other organisms can invade to the particular abutment, causing secondary caries. So that is the first cause. So in this, if this happens, if your patient complains with secondary caries, it will not happen quickly, because when you cement it, there will be some amount of cement on that particular area. It happens like that. So it will eventually worn off by brushing habit or when it abrades and gets off. Then the patient may feel like sensitivity or pain while having cold, hot beverages or sweet food, etc. So when patients comes to you with these complaints, what you can do is you can go for that particular prosthesis removal, and you can fabricate a new one with proper adaptation. The second reason is the caries which you can cause to the neighboring tooth because of the fabrication of your FPD. So in this picture, these are the parts of prosthesis, and this tooth is the neighboring adjacent tooth. Before cementation, you are supposed to check the fit of your prosthesis with the neighboring tooth. That you can do with the help of a dental floss or articulating papers, or there are some metal strips available in various thickness. So when you pass any of these things in between or the interproximal area, if you can feel the tightness, that means the restoration is very tight with the adjacent tooth, which is not recommended, because after cementation it is always recommended to use flossing for maintaining oral hygiene. If there is a gap while placing any of these in between interproximally, that means there is a gap between the restoration and the adjacent tooth, which is also not recommended. It will eventually causes food lodgement, which again can cause secondary caries or periodontal problems. So if this happens, same treatment you can do, you have to remove it and give a new prosthesis with good interproximal adaptation. Now coming to the another reason, that is root caries or senile caries. It usually happens with elder people with reduced salivation, or there can be gingival recession with the age. So the cementum area of the tooth can be exposed. It is more common in patients with reduced salivary flow. In that cases, you can send the patient to their physician to tell about this condition, or which is very common with an organism or a bacteria called Actinomyces viscus, which is very common in filiform papillae of tongue. So if it is due to that reason, you can encourage the patient for maintaining good oral hygiene in order to avoid it. Then another condition or another reason for failure is due to pulpal degeneration. Pulpal degeneration mainly happens during in this condition, means the doctor is using the aerator without the proper cooling system. Cooling system is by the use of spray of water spray during the rotation of aerator. When the aerator used for preparation, due to the abrasion of the aerator with the teeth, it the temperature of that particular area becomes very high. So it is very essential to use normal water, spray of normal water, in order to reduce that particular temperature to normal temperature. So due to the laziness of the doctor, if he performs a procedure without sufficient amount of spray of the aorta, the treatment can be done, but it can cause pulpal degeneration in a later stage. It can be happen with severe pain, spontaneous pain, which is different from the earlier secondary caries condition. This kind of pain is spontaneous. There wouldn't be any reason for the particular pain. It may be aggravated while lying down. So in this type of cases, what you can do is you can ask the patient to go for a root canal treatment with or without removal of the particular prosthesis. The RCT is possible through the particular retainer in some cases, but in some cases it's not possible due to the crack of the particular prosthesis. That's how you can treat it. Now another condition is because of the usage of particular cement. If if your preparation is very near to the pulp, sometimes it happens because if the patient is young, the pulp horns may be very high position. So when you do a normal preparation, your preparation will be in close proximity with the pulpal horns. That means near to the pulp. So in such cases, if you use cements like zinc phosphate or GIC, it can cause sudden sensitivity, exaggerated sensitivity reaction to the patient. Sometimes the patient may jump from the chair when you just seated the prosthesis with the cement in it. So in such cases, you can use cements like zinc polycarboxylate, which is having little more particle size than GIC or zinc phosphate, for better results. But remember to use GIC for the marginal area, as zinc polycarboxylate can easily leach out on the margins. Now coming to another failure, that is endodontic failures of an abutment. Usually an endodontist or any other doctor will be performing the root canal treatment of the particular tooth. After that, they will have a schedule busy schedule, so they won't spend much time, they won't be able to spend much time if some instrument breakage happens. In this case, this is an instrument breakage, because it is very difficult to retrieve that particular instrument tip when it happens. So sometimes they will write in the case file that there is an instrument breakage and it's difficult to retrieve. So as it is asymptomatic, or they will inform the patient to wait for some particular time to check whether if there is any symptoms occurs or not. If it is asymptomatic, they will tell to go for the prosthesis, fixed partial danger on it. That depends on the practitioner. So if you didn't do the root canal treatment and patient comes to you from anywhere else, it is always compulsory to make an IOPA of that particular abutments. Then only you will have a clear picture of what you are going to deal with. And if you find any such instrument breakages, then it's always better to send the patient back to the previous clinic for resolving this issue. If the other doctor tells it's okay as there is no symptoms, ask them to write it and give to you in the case file. Then that is a valid document for your safety, because personal safety with gloves, mask, head cap, they are important. At the same time, your safety for your treatment with your tongue also equivalent to the same personal safety, because this can help you when the patient complains about your treatment in future of any of this. Because you can't just tell I didn't notice about a instrument breakage because I didn't take an IOPA. That is not a relevant answer. Then you will be responsible for the damage or whatever they tells about it. So please go with an IOPA, and if something happens like this, send the patient back to correct it. If it can't be corrected, and if there is any lesion apically, this is an initial stage, and usually there is a starting stage of lesion here. It can lead to a periodontal apical abscess or any other issues in later. If so, what you can do is you can advise the patient, if it is not corrected, you can advise the patient to go for a apicectomy. In that, apical area of the roots along with the lesion will be removed. So all the pathogens will be taken out. You can suture it back with or without graft in it. So it will become normal without any further problems over that particular area. That's how you can treat it. Now coming to another reason for failure, that is periodontal failure. The same lack of marginal adaptation also can cause periodontal failure. It can cause secondary caries as well as periodontal failure because this area is closely related to the periodontium. The organism what are accumulated in this area can cause any periodontal problems later. Then another possibility for periodontal failures are due to the inappropriate connectors in FPD. If the connectors are very large and if they try to impinge on the underlying mucosa, it itself can cause periodontal problems. Then if the tissue surface, underlying surface of the pontic, if it's rough, it can cause plaque accumulation or after followed by accumulation of some organisms, which can cause inflammation on that particular area, which can lead to periodontal failure. So the tissue surface of the pontic has to be shiny, should be smooth enough. Then another factor which causes is the improper treatment planning. Means in this case, this is a lateral incisor and this is a canine. This is a wisdom tooth. These three teeth are involved, taken as an abutment in order to support this much long span FPD. This treatment plan is actually wrong because lateral incisor is the weakest tooth, which is they are taken as terminal abutment, which is not capable of supporting this much long span FPD. So treatment planning is very much important in any of the cases, because when something goes wrong, if your treatment plan is not correct, it is very much evident that you did something wrong. So please make sure, if you are in a doubt, please ask somebody else about the treatment plan before for clarifying it. If you have any doubts, please ask somebody who know it, because this type of stupidity is like it will stay as it is. It's like your signature, because the patient, whenever the patient goes to any other clinic, they can see it and patient will tell your name. So please make sure you do a correct treatment plan before you start any treatment. Another one is tooth perforations, which happens usually by post-space uh, post-space creation. Because in some cases, usually when you're dealing with anterior tooth, if the coronal structure is lesser than 25%, if there is a loss of tooth structure more than 25%, you are supposed to give a post in order to strengthen that particular tooth. That is in case of anteriors. When you talk about posteriors, if the coronal structure is lesser, more than 50%, you are supposed to strengthen the tooth, the particular abutment, with a post. Post selection depends on the operator. But before placing a post, it is mandatory to make a post space. So sometimes the post space making can lead to perforation. In this picture, it's very obvious there is a perforation on the furcation area of this particular molar. So when this happens, patient will have bleeding on that particular site spontaneously or later. What you can do is, in these cases, you can retrieve the post. If it's possible to treat it with MTA or some other substance, it is advisable. But if it's not done, you can try to ask the patient to go for a hemisection or something, because usually what happens is you are supposed to give a post in the longer and wider root canal. So the distal canal of mandibular molar is the longest and widest canal in that particular mandibular tooth. But in case of maxillary, that palatal root is the longest and widest root canal. So if you put the post space in any other root, it can cause a perforation in most of the cases. So make sure you are locating the exact root canal what you have to locate. When you do it on a different root canal, it is also like a signature of yours, your work signature, that patient can go to any clinic with an IOPA. It will be very evident for any other doctor that you did something wrong, something terribly wrong, because it's like you are extracting a wrong tooth, because you are selecting a wrong root canal instead of the right one. So please don't go for it if you are not sure about the exact root canal which you are supposed to give a post. So in that cases you can do the treatment like post removal, and if it is possible to treat with MTA, it is better. If not, you can ask the patient to go for a hemisection, or you can give a crown with the help of that remaining root structure as well as with the remaining neighboring tooth. Then another common failure which I have experienced in my career is subpondic inflammation. As I told you in the last class, that is about pondics. Pondic selection is one of the most important topic which you should concentrate in, because after preparation, when you give the work to lab, there will be a chart in which you are supposed to enter all the details, which type of crown you want, how many units you want, what all specifications you want, which pondic design you want. So it's all up to the operator. The decision is all up to the doctor. Which pondic, which shape of pondic you want. So if you chose a pondic which is wrong, which can give rise to the subpondic inflammation, there will be a profound bleeding and pain for the patient just below the pondic area. In this case, you can see a redness here, which is due to ridge lap pondic. The pondic rests on the whole of the ridge. So if any food lodgement happens, this can give rise to subpondic inflammation in such cases. In this case, it is advisable to go for a modified ridge lap pondic or an ovate pondic. In case of posteriors, if the patient is not much concerned about aesthetics, it's always advisable to go for hygienic pondics. But if the patient is more concerned about aesthetics, better to go for modified ridge lap. So please keep that in mind. Now another problems which is causing failure is occlusal problems. Mainly you have to check the occlusion of your prosthesis. Occlusal interference and high points has to be checked before cementation. Please keep that in mind. You have to check all these things before cementation. The prosthesis what you are giving should be in harmony with patient's own occlusion. Patient will have an occlusal pattern. The prosthesis, whether it is a crown or FPD, whatever you give, it should be in harmony with patient's occlusion. It will not cause any of interference during patient's mastication. There shouldn't be any out of contacts in centric or eccentric movements. That is very important, because each tooth are designed to have a certain amount of load on it. If that load exceeds to a limit, the tooth will experience severe pain, which eventually turns to periodontal problems of the tooth or TMJ disorders in a chronic manner. So if patient complains of slight pain on the crown or FPD what you have given, please check for occlusal problems first. Then if you can see any marks, occlusal marks, any high points, don't hesitate to remove it. Then you wait for it. If the symptoms subsides, then if the patient is okay with the prosthesis, please continue the use of prosthesis. If there is any ceramic breakage, then you have to go for a new prosthesis. Then the most important thing, having an FPD is just like having a car. Just by buying a good car, you can't use it for a prolonged period of time, because whichever car you buy, they will give exact time periods for the maintenance. If you don't show the car in showroom or service center for the maintenance, they will not be responsible for any further loss. because it will be your responsibility because you failed to take the car to the service center at time. So after giving each and every FPD, you are supposed to tell the patient to visit the clinic for maintenance at regular intervals of time. The intervals you can decide depending upon patient's oral hygiene status. Some patient may maintain a very good oral hygiene. Such patient you can call after 6 months or 1 year. The patient who lack in maintaining oral hygiene has to come regularly within 3 to 6 months. So the patient has to be educated to maintain the oral hygiene if they are willing to have an FPD, which is the responsibility of a dentist. So I hope all of you understood whatever I told till now. Please don't hesitate to ask any doubts regarding what I told. So thank you and all the best.